Yep.
You could just submit your questions beforehand. I'd probably give you the same answer.
Okay, how are we looking? You all good? All right, is that noise a problem for you or? Oh, no. Okay, no worries. I've got my little private army over there. We could just go and ask them to turn it down, but I don't think they'll do that for me. But anyway.
This is dramatic music, Ben.
Yes, it is lovely. Okay, we're good to go. All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out on this very, very cold Saturday. What we're announcing today is the start of Operation Cold Snap, which covers off the next 2 weeks in Queensland for the Queensland school holidays. We're particularly focused this year on people making excuses for their behaviours and poor decisions that they make. You'll see on our socials, we've got a spinning wheel of excuses that we get given all the time. It's just around the corner, or it's just a few k's over the limit, or, you know, I should be right to drive. I haven't had a drink since yesterday. And we hear these excuses every day. But the problem for us here in Queensland at the moment, like most of the other jurisdictions in Australia and New Zealand, we're experiencing a significant and sustained increase in the number of people killed in our roads. In our own case in Queensland, we're 11% higher than we were last year. And as I've said to you guys repeatedly, last year was a bad year on our roads. So unfortunately, I can announce today that the number of lives lost on Queensland roads sits at 147 for the year, which is 17 more than the same time last year. Now, this is a significant issue for us as a community, because we're almost halfway through the year. We've got another 6 days to go until we're halfway through the year, and we've nearly hit 150 lives lost. And unfortunately, this will mean, if we continue to go the way we're going, that we will have more than 300 lives lost on Queensland roads this year for the first time since 2009, and that's something we are very, very keen to avoid. So what we're asking for, please, is for, if you're going away for holidays, have a great time. The weather forecasts are brilliant. This is perfect camping weather. Hopefully we're not going to get any inclement weather. We've unfortunately lost 11 people to drowning, floodwaters in vehicles so far this year, which is the highest we've ever had. But if you're going to go somewhere, please, everybody in the car, take an active role in the responsibility of your own safety and the safety of other people in the car. So if someone's not wearing a seatbelt, call it out. If someone's speeding, call it out. Make sure your car's in good condition, and that's right down to the tyre pressures. Make sure your windscreen's clean. Make sure you're well rested and you take regular breaks. And personally, I have absolutely no problems with backseat drivers if it keeps the rest of us safe. I'd like to pass over to our Minister now, the Honourable Mark Ryan, and then we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks for reinforcing the very important road safety messages, which we do hear every time from the Queensland Police Service, but we have to keep reinforcing those messages because people are still making bad decisions on our roads. And to be frank, our first responders, our emergency departments, the community more broadly, they're sick of the excuses. They're sick of people saying, oh, I was only just a couple of kilometres over, or it was only one beer, or I only picked up the phone for a brief moment. They're sick of the excuses because those excuses are leading to tragic outcomes. There's no more excuses. There's no reasonable reason for people to have these excuses around making poor decisions on our road. Those poor decisions on our road are leading to tragic outcomes. Tragic outcomes for the individual, the family, the friends of those individuals, and the community more broadly, and our first responders. So once again, we're pleading with the community. Please, if you're going to be on the road, make good choices. Be a responsible road user, be a respectful road user. Make sure the decisions that you make are life-saving decisions. No excuses, no poor behaviour. Every time you get behind the wheel of a car, you are responsible for your actions, and you have to be responsible for the impact that those poor decisions will have on others. Happy to take some questions.
On the road tolls, how much of that do you think, well, I guess the condition of Bruce Highway and whatnot is contributing
Look, ultimately, people need to drive to the conditions. There's significant investment in road upgrades right across the state. But when we do analysis around, traffic accidents and fatalities particularly, every time it comes back to people making poor decisions on the road. There is still, and 40 years after we've been reinforcing the message around people needing to wear seatbelts on their road, there is still a contributing factor in about a quarter of all road fatalities. Someone hasn't worn a seatbelt. That is a choice that they've made, a life-changing choice that they've made not to wear a seatbelt, and it has had tragic consequences. So every time someone gets in a car, make the responsible choice. The responsible choice has the potential to save your life.
Safer roads regarding the central standard to drink driving that we feel Matthew Field and Queensland. Is it disappointing she's now admitted to drink driving and crashing her car?
Look, I'm sure people will understand. I'm not going to comment on a particular matter. There's still a police investigation underway and no one has been charged at this point. But I think this reinforces the message we're saying today. So speaking generally, the choices that you make can be life-changing choices, but they could also result in impacts to your career, could also impact on enforcement action by the Queensland Police Service, and could also affect your reputation. So every time someone gets into a car, you've got to make the right choice, because if you make the wrong choice, you can have significant consequences for yourself and the community more broadly.
And as admitted to drink driving, though, do you think she should stand down? You've mentioned that it could have impacts on your career, this kind of behaviour.
Well, speaking generally, if someone makes a bad choice, if someone breaks the law, there should be consequences.
What do you think those consequences
Is it
should be?
someone who advocates against drink driving to be put in situations generally, but for someone who speaks against this and is advocating for it to be put in this situation?
Yeah, look, I think observers of this matter will have pretty strong opinions that you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, don't you? So for people who espouse to be advocates for road safety, they also have to be road safety responsible people themselves.
Can I ask this?
Certainly.
Investigation. Can you talk about, I guess, what's found so far?
No, I can't. There are legal implications to me commenting. The investigation's only just begun. In the fullness of time, information will come out.
When are you expecting the blood alcohol test results to come back?
I have absolutely no idea, and even if I did, I would only be speculating.
More vaguely, can you explain what's going on with the crash?
So the only thing I'm able to share with you is that police are investigating a single vehicle traffic crash in the Redlands. That vehicle hit a tree. We have one person with minor injuries who is assisting and cooperating fully with police.
I guess from a police perspective, set legal implications if this person is admitted to drink driving, given the position they're in and what they advocate for, is this
I can't comment on that at all. I can't comment on that, I'm sorry. I appreciate the position I'm placing you in, but there's only one path we can follow with this, and I can't comment at all on specific investigations. Yes.
coming out of the pandemic,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So that's a really good question, and this is something that we're looking at very deeply at the moment. So we have a partnership with the Department of Transport and Main Roads and some of the universities, a thing called the Road Safety Data Bureau. We're looking at it. What we know that significant changes have occurred that are sustained around how we use our roads, how we use public transport, how we get food delivered to our houses on, people on electric push bikes, so how we get around on scooters and electric skateboards. A 300% increase in new registrations of motorcycles. The trucking industry has changed. They're all significant changes. But what that tells us is who's being killed. The why people are being killed is actually really simple. There's a set of rules. If you follow the rules, you actually won't crash. And if you break the rules, you're a good chance. So our roads are separated by a painted white line down the centre of the road. And what the rules say is, I stay on my side of the road, you stay on your side of the road, we're never going to have a head-on collision. If the rules say the speed limit is 60 and you do more than 60, that's how people die. If the rules say stop at an amber light and you run through an amber light or a red light, that's how people die. So we know that COVID has changed the way we use roads, but what we can impact is the decisions that we make. And what we're asking people to do is call it out. You know, if somebody's doing something wrong, and you know, the excuse, I'm only a couple of k's over the limit. You know, I've only had a couple of beers, or I'm only just round the corner, so I won't bother putting my seatbelt on. Just call it out. You know, simple stuff.
Aside from poor decisions and driver behaviour, does road infrastructure play a part in this? We know how busy the M1 is. Unfortunately, there were a couple of significant crashes just this week. I mean, is that playing any significant part in the amount of traffic on that particular stretch of road?
Yeah. So with every crash that we have, we talk about the E's. So enforcement, education, engagement, and one of them is engineering. And we do. And we have a look at the engineering of the road. We have a look at the engineering of the vehicles involved in the crash. Our forensic crash investigators here in Queensland are some of the best in the world. They make recommendations to the coroner, and they become binding recommendations that change the technology in vehicles, that change the Australian design rules. We also make immediate improvements, if we can, to roads if we think the infrastructure of the road was a contributing factor. That's the nice answer. The reality of it is this: Queensland is a massive state, massive, and it only has so many taxpayers and it only has so many dollars. We will always improve our road infrastructure, but we're a bit of a victim of our own success. Everybody currently wants to live in the 200 kilometre strip from the Tweed River through to Noosa, and we just need to accept that congestion is going to be an issue for us for the foreseeable future as we madly try to fix our roads. There's only so many trucks, there's only so many bulldozers, there's only so many dollars. So what we're saying to people is, if a road is heavily congested, don't sit on the bumper bar of the car in front of you. Slow down a bit, be a good citizen in your car. And the other big one for us in school holiday periods, if you're towing a caravan and you can't do the speed limit, consider pulling over every few minutes where it's safe. Let other people pass. You know, be a good citizen on the road.
Are you happy with the number of officers in the
We are getting 2,025 extra personnel in the Queensland Police Service, so an extra 2025 by the year 2025. One of the issues that we will face is recruiting enough really good quality applicants, and so we're asking people now, if you know someone who would make a good police officer, or if you yourself have ever thought of joining the police or being a civilian expert in the Queensland Police Service, you will never find a better time. It's the biggest growth period we've ever had. It's a good company to work for. It's a good vocation. It's a tough gig, but it's well worth it. And if anybody ever wanted to have a crack at it, please come and talk to a local police officer, ask them what it's like, throw in an application.
On that police recruit, the opposition is saying this morning that the government's own budget documents really March to March, that there were more media communications staff employed than there were police officers. Does that 2025 come after those documents? Do we have enough officers?
Yeah. Oh, they're cherry-picking statistics. The key document to look at is the service delivery statement, which shows growth year on year, and in fact we're planning, and it was written up by one of Dom's colleagues in the Courier Mail, 600 extra police personnel in the Queensland Police Service over the next financial year. So where the opposition have gotten a bit silly and a bit cherry-picking is they're comparing actual to budget rather than budget to budget. Actual to budget is actually the same financial year. Budget to budget is the next financial year, which shows significant growth.
So how many have you hired last year, or how many have you hired?
So in the next financial year, we're planning to put on over 600 extra FTEs in the Queensland Police Service.
And on health,
Health? Okay.
and on the health spend goes slow. Is the Palaszczuk government spending every cent that it allocates on health given the health crisis?
Oh, yeah, well, they're committed projects, and, you know, you just have to talk to anyone in the construction industry at the moment, anyone trying to build a home. There are delays in the construction industry for a number of reasons, supply chain delays, as well as also labour market pressures. They're committed projects, they'll be delivered, and once they're delivered, they'll, of course, deliver the benefit to the people of Queensland.
2 years of understanding the opposition claims, quite it's not really going to be a process.
Well, they're committed projects. They're being rolled out. Like just in my community at the moment, the Caboolture Hospital's being expanded. That's a $400 million project. That's on track. There's a satellite hospital being built there. That's on track. There's an ambulance station that's going to be built in the next 24 months. That's on track. So, you know, these are projects which are significant and sophisticated projects which take time. And you do have to have an appreciation of what the market looks like at the moment. There are supply chain issues, there are labour market pressures, but they're committed projects and they're being delivered. Yeah.
Case of just wishing and hoping the voters will be patient.
Oh, well, I think Queenslanders understand that the health system, not only in Queensland but around Australia and around the world, is under pressure. You know, it's under pressure because of COVID, it's under pressure because of labour market challenges, and it is also under pressure because of the insatiable growth in health demand. Queenslanders also understand that the health system in Queensland and around Australia is a partnership between the federal government and the state government. It's not just about hospitals, it's about access to GPs. And I think one of the impressive things we'll see coming out of the new federal government is a real focus on how to support greater access to GPs, and that will also have a benefit to people who are waiting to access hospitals as well.
Cold break review next week.
Oh, yeah, well, I understand that the deadline's next week. Yep.
We dropped on Friday afternoon.
Oh, well, you know, my understanding is Professor Coldrake hasn't yet delivered the report, but the Premier's made commitments around that report, and I'm sure those commitments will be honoured.
We rule out delaying it past next week.
Well, the Premier's made commitments around that report, and I'm sure they'll be honoured. Okay, great.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Very good.